So first, I would like to ask you all a question. How many of you have seen a minority get arrested for no given reason? It could be them just standing outside of a building, and they could just get wrongfully accused of doing something they weren't doing. Okay. Today, I'm going to be talking about mass incarceration, and I'll be telling you why mass incarceration is just something that happens all the time in the United States. According to the International Center of Prison Studies, the United States has the highest incarceration rate in the world, and many people say that it's because of gangs and criminals, but I do not believe that to be the entire case. And if you yourself grew up in a low-income neighborhood, you'd understand that a lot of cops patrol the area and basically count those areas for decades. And I myself have witnessed many unfair arrests and have had friends who have witnessed the same. Today I will be telling you why I think mass incarcerations are from racial intent. And first I will talk about minorities having to deal with mass incarcerations, then I will talk about why Ronald Reagan targeted minorities, and finally I will talk about police targeting minorities in lower income neighborhoods. So first I'll get into minorities having to deal with mass incarcerations. So right here, as you see, the international rates of incarceration. The United States has the most compared to any other country. It's above Rwanda, Russia, Brazil, and just a lot of people are incarcerated here compared to other countries. And as you can see for this chart over here, it shows all men, 1 in 9 go to jail or prison. And if you see over here, black men, 1 in 3 go to jail or prison, and that's 33%. So let's say if you are born as a black male in the United States, you have a 33% chance of going to jail, and it's pretty big actually. It's pretty scary actually, yeah. And if you look over at Latino men, 1 in 6, that's still a large portion of people in the United States. And if you see over here is white men, it's 1 in 17, and that's not even close to, that's about almost 6%, and that's not even close to what's 1 in 3 and 1 in 6. It's just off by a lot. And the common excuse for why white people don't generally go to prison or jail or not incarcerated as much is because they don't have gangs. Yet you see in the Midwest, in prison centers, and just prisons in general, many white people are in gangs and they are in prison. So I don't find that excuse to be valid. So, yeah. So, according to the Bureau of Justice, if you're born as a black male, you have a 33% chance, and that's what I just mentioned, that's true. So now I'll move on to talking about why I think Ronald Reagan targeted minorities. So during Reagan's presidency, he banned crack cocaine, which was being sold to the inner city people, like minorities basically. He banned crack cocaine specifically, which was used by a lot of minorities in that time period. And not just, he didn't really emphasize banning out cocaine in general. And I think that he did this just to target minorities and give people a mindset that minorities are the bad guys. And see, what this did was get many minorities in trouble, and over time the incarceration rate doubled during his presidency. And according to the Brennan Center of Justice, when Reagan took office in 1980, the total prison population was 300,000 and doubled to 600,000 once he left office 8 years later. And I think that this put a bad image on a lot of minorities in this country, and it just made them look bad, and gave non-minorities a mindset that these people are criminals and bad people when they're really not. And that just influenced racism right there as a whole. So now we're talking about police targeting lower income neighborhoods, lower income areas with minorities. So these are usually targeted often, even if there hasn't been crime, and let's say the past, I don't know, let's say 10 years, 20 years, just because it's a low-income neighborhood, is targeted. And you also have to think about, police usually camp these areas, and you have to think about the children that live in these areas, because if they grow up, and let's say they're a minority too, and they're surrounded by police, and they hear sirens all the time, they think that something's, wrong in that situation that they're in. And that's just, it's terrible. It really is. And it's unfair to the children and just the people that live there as a whole. A way to resolve this would be to basically just protest over time. You can't end racism in general just by violence. Violence itself won't help anything at all. You have to slowly protest, and over time, hopefully, that will come to an end and it will dissolve. So to conclude, first I talked about minorities having to deal with mass incarcerations, then why Ronald Reagan targeted minorities, and finally why police are targeting low-income areas with minorities. And now I hope that you understand why I think that mass incarcerations have to do with racism, and they're just because of racism. And also, that's basically it. So I hope you all understood my points, and thank you for listening.